Hi guys, it is me, ChazzaHD, and welcome back to the first live stream, I think, on the channel since the 2020 Abu Dhabi Grand Prix, which was about, 2.5 months ago. So it's been a long time since I've done a live stream on the channel, and today I'm doing a live stream for a good reason, because, as the title says, the new 2021 season is closing in, and it is closing in very quickly. Car reveals are now taking place. We've got through almost half, I think, of the car reveals so far. We've got, obviously, pre-season testing in, a fortnight from now, or just under a fortnight. And then, of course, I think exactly this time next month, we have the first Grand Prix in Bahrain. Of course, testing also takes place in Bahrain as well for, I think, quarantine reasons. But, yeah, the new season closing in very quickly. And what I'm going to be doing in today's stream is really going over, say, the big news that's happened over the winter, and also talking about some things that have happened in the last week or two, such as some teams that revealed their cars, also things they've had to say, at the same time as revealing their cars in terms of what they expect for 2021. So yeah, that's what we're going to get into today. I'll make sure to come to you guys in the chat as much as possible. Hopefully you guys are doing well. Here on basically we're at the end of winter, aren't we? Which is very good news. But yeah, hopefully you guys are doing well, and I'm hoping you guys are pretty excited, for the season that is coming very, very quickly. And I think next week you'll definitely be very pumped up once we have basically, I think, all of the car reveals but one that is remaining during the course of next week. But let's start, and we're going to go team by team and talk about, things that have happened over the winter and what they've been doing lately. So let's start with Mercedes. Now, big news with them is that Lewis Hamilton eventually signed a 1-year contract extension with the team, and he will be continuing in 2021 with his, his great team, the Silver Arrows. And I will say it was a surprise that he didn't sign earlier. I'm not quite sure why they had to leave it, Hamilton and Mercedes, they had to leave it so late, because let's say at the last minute he decided he didn't want to, race anymore. It would have left Mercedes with, not that much time to get whoever's going to be his replacement, who would have been, of course, Mr. Russell. To come into the team and get used to the team properly going into a season. So, it was a bit late in the day, the contract being signed, but it was signed, and I always thought it would be, because I just don't see why Lewis Hamilton, with the prospect of 8 world titles for 2021 and breaking even more records and, extending the gap to the next driver in pole positions and race wins and all of that, I didn't really see him, not racing anymore, because I thought he'd want to build on that and just, become overall, when it comes to titles, again, race wins and poles combined, the greatest of all time. So I always thought he was going to race this year. And I think it's a good thing, because even though, yes, he has been very dominant, I want to see greatness on track, and I think we all do. If we had, Russell, for example, replacing Lewis Hamilton at Mercedes, and even though I do really like Russell is not anywhere near a great driver yet. And, for us to still have Lewis Hamilton on the grid for 2021, and hopefully he'll continue for another 2 or 3 more years yet, I think it's absolutely fantastic for the sport. And hopefully, if, Red Bull can start off a bit quicker the season than they do normally, which they won't, but we can always hope. Having Hamilton and Verstappen battling up there will be great for the sport. Just having Hamilton in the sport in general is great for everyone, I think. So it is great that Lewis Hamilton is continuing in 2021. And, going into the season, of course, Mercedes are the favourites. They are going to win the championship, let's be honest. There is no realistic contender for the crown of Drivers' Champion or Constructors' Champion. It's going to be the same as last year. Will it be as dominant? I don't know. All I do know is that it will be Lewis Hamilton winning his 8th title and Mercedes winning another constructors title. The gap between, them and the next person doesn't really matter. Because again, we know who is going to come out on top. But they are going to be revealing their new 2021 car on March the 2nd, which is in 2 days' time on Tuesday. I think they're doing a Silverstone reveal like they normally do. So it'll be the same as what Red Bull did, who we'll get onto in a moment. It'll be the same as what Red Bull did, I think a couple days ago or a few days ago, where they revealed their car and then, did a test run around Silverstone. So that's what they're going to be doing. And yeah, going into the season, I just don't really think we have anything new to say about this team. We already know what's going to happen. Yeah, let's move on to Red Bull. There's a bit more has happened for Red Bull over the course of the winter than Mercedes. And look at that. Isn't that an absolutely beautiful thing to see? Sergio Perez in a Red Bull uniform. At the end of last year, even before he won the Sakir Grand Prix, I never thought I would see this, because I thought, like he's had in the past, despite him showing how great he is, it would get, he wouldn't get the recognition he deserved and wouldn't get the chance he deserved at Red Bull. But when that news was announced that Sergio Perez was going to be, or is, Max Verstappen's teammate in 2021 for Red Bull, I cannot describe to you how happy I was. And, again, so great to have him still on the grid. And if he can replicate what he did last year, and the Red Bull car is a bit more consistent driving-wise, I don't see why Perez can't have a good season this season. I really don't see why he can't. Yes, he is not going to be having really any favourable treatment at all, because his teammate is Max Verstappen, and Max runs the show at Red Bull. We all know that. But I think Perez, honestly, should have a very good chance of, having a good season. He is, at the minute, at the absolute peak of his powers. He absolutely is. The end of last season, he was incredible. Incredible. And not just incredible, he was consistent in that incredibleness. So yeah, I can't wait to see what Perez can do in 2021. And it's been a long time coming, him getting this chance, because I've always thought for years he should get a chance at a Ferrari, for example, or a team, at that kind of level that Red Bull are at. And, I will admit, I have been a big fan of Sergio, basically, since I started watching Formula 1, because when I started properly watching Formula 1, he was probably the standout driver from that midfield pack. And I've always thought, over the course of me watching Formula 1 since, end of 2011, beginning of 2012, Perez has always been one of the most underrated drivers on the grid. He always performs, no matter what you give him, he'll always perform. Yes, at McLaren, that was a bit of an off season compared to his other seasons, but there were still races in that season where I thought he did pretty well. But I think the expectation was just way too big on Perez at McLaren. And this picture, you can see Perez in the new 2021 Red Bull, also known as the RB16B. Yes, it is a B car of last year. So what they've done essentially, and of course they have, they're abiding by the new regulations, because of course the regulations are different when it comes to the rear end of the cars and, rear downforce and that. But this car is essentially Red Bull trying to fine-tune the 2020 car, which I think honestly is a good idea, because the car at the end of 2020 was definitely a lot stronger than it was, say, in the first 7 or 8 races. It was a lot stronger once we got towards the end. It was still quite a bit off the top car, Mercedes, obviously, but they did improve a lot. And I think, working on that car and just trying to keep working with it and keep improving it, I think it will benefit Red Bull better than if, they just went with a completely new, car design, all of that. To be honest, I'm surprised teams don't do this more because, when you have a car in a certain season that is, a car that you think if we put more work into it, we can improve it even more, or if it's a car that's just fundamentally good, I'm surprised teams don't just carry that car through to the next season when the regulations are, I mean, in 2021, the regulations are not stable, but they're not massively different compared to what we're going to get in 2022. I'm surprised teams don't do this more because, again, if you think you can improve it even more with more time, or if it's just fundamentally a good car, for example, Racing Point, coming into 2021, I don't know why they don't just, and I think they pretty much will just carry through a lot of what they had in 2020 into this season, because why just go for a completely different thing? Yeah, I think Red Bull, this season they should be closer to Mercedes. I think they should. Will they, contend for the championship? Hell no, they will not. They're not going to get anywhere near. But they should be closer. Certainly at the start of the season. And I hope they are because, Formula One does need it. Yeah, Red Bull, they've also, I think, had, we're looking at 2021, obviously, in this stream. But I think if you look at beyond 2021, I think Red Bull have also had a very good winter on that front because, as you can see on the below ticker, F1 power unit development has been frozen for 2022 until new power units coming in 2025, meaning that Red Bull will be able to continue using the Honda power unit, which is great news for Red Bull because there was, talk of will they go back with Renault. There's talk of Ferrari and Mercedes, but of course Ferrari and Mercedes are not going to give Red Bull a power unit because they're massive rivals and they really do not like each other. And obviously Red Bull and Renault have a very bad history as of, well, now. So it wasn't looking good if there was not a freeze on development of power units. But yeah, great result for Red Bull. I am surprised, though, from a competition standpoint, that Mercedes and Ferrari didn't reject the freeze on engines, because even though maybe for them, in terms of, other targets they want to meet, it was, absolutely what they wanted and suitable and that, again, from a competition point of view, they really could have knocked Red Bull completely out of contention as a top race-winning team if they said no to freezing development on the power units. For 2022 until 2025. They really could have knocked them out of the park when it comes to, again, winning races, pole positions, podiums, all of that. So I'm a bit surprised they didn't, take a tougher stance when it comes to that. But yeah, good news for Red Bull. And Honda also, and I made sure to note this in my notes before I came on the stream, because I was looking at some of the quotes from Red Bull when they revealed their car. One thing that's interesting is Honda, because obviously they're, exiting of Formula One is a bit abrupt. And I don't think they were planning it long term, to leave at the end of 2021. I think it was, again, a very abrupt decision. What they've done is brought forward the power unit design they were going to have in 2022 to 2021. So that is what Red Bull have for this season. And if Red Bull are going to close that gap, maybe not fully, but a bit, I think it will depend on whether that decision works out or not. I hope it does. But with Honda, you never know. It could go horribly wrong or it could go great. That's how it tends to go with Honda. Since they returned to the sport in 2015. So yeah, it'd be very interesting to see, what happens there. And also I think I saw that Max Verstappen came out and said that they have to be realistic about their title chances, which is good to see because I know I was guilty of it, obviously, but there was a lot of hype put it that way, going into 2020 about Max Verstappen being able to contend for the World Championship and Red Bull, if they get the car right, being able to contend. And, well, it didn't happen, did it? They didn't get anywhere close, pace-wise, to Mercedes. So I think this year, definitely everyone has to be very realistic about where Red Bull are going to be. The only thing they can really aim for is to be closer to Mercedes on pace and to be closer on points during 2021. But I don't think there is a chance in hell they can aim to beat them over the course of a season. They're just not strong enough. They just don't have enough. They don't have enough of what Mercedes has to compete. That's what makes Mercedes so great, is they have almost a perfect team, and it's so loaded with so many great people that you've got to match that, and I don't think Red Bull can. So yeah, I just don't really see Red Bull, to be honest, being that much different from what they were in 2020. Let me just quickly though get my notepad. I'll read my notes better. Go. But yeah, the 2022 car already revealed, as I showed in a previous picture. And yeah, hopefully Red Bull are a bit stronger, but who knows what will happen. Let's move on though to this team. Ferrari, the meme team. They are having a very interesting build up to the season. So they did a team reveal, which is basically, them revealing the two drivers in the attire and, just launching the team. Kind of like a night with Ferrari type of feel. That's basically what it was. And what they're going to be doing is then revealing the car on March the 10th, which is not this Wednesday coming, it's next Wednesday. So, yeah, and it's also 2 days before the start of testing in Bahrain. So there you go. Yeah, Ferrari, well, they've got to be better this season. You'd hope they'll be better this season. I don't see how, if you're Ferrari, I just don't see how you could possibly make a car worse than last year's car. Last year's car was one of the worst in history for that team. Again, they should be better, but I don't expect this team to be that much better. Charles Leclerc, though, and I think Binotto as well came out and said that the new car is a good step forward on what last year's car was. Now, that is positive news, and I don't think they're lying, by the way. I don't think they're lying there. I think the car definitely is, for the drivers, and of course they've only driven it in the simulator, it probably does feel, more stable, and it probably does have more power and all of that. It probably is a better car. The big and real question is, how much have the other teams in that midfield pack gained? Are McLaren now, with Mercedes power, a proper front-running team? How are Aston Martin going to be? Are they going to build on what they did last year? How are Alpine going to build on what they had from last year when they were Renault with Fernando Alonso? Are AlphaTauri going to be better? Alfa Romeo going to be better? Do you know what I mean? It's all great saying, oh, well, our new car, it's a good step forward and we think it's going to put us, in the top 3 again. Again, it's all great saying that, but until you see what the other teams have done and the gains they've made, you can't really, I don't think you should really be putting it out there, because when it comes to the Tifosi, you're putting out a false sense of optimism. Because, yeah, we expect this new Ferrari to be better than the last one. But again, the real question is, how is it compared to Aston Martin, McLaren, Alpine, even Red Bull, and AlphaTauri, and Alfa Romeo? How is it compared to them? That's what we need to know. But yeah, Ferrari this season, I think the aim has to be, because they're not obviously going to win the championship, and I don't see them winning a Grand Prix. I'd have to say the aim for 2021 has got to be them finishing in the top 4 in the Constructors. Obviously, last year it was 6th. I think they can finish definitely 4th in the Constructors because I don't think Alpine will be that strong or that much stronger this year compared to what they were last year. And I think one of McLaren or Aston Martin, I don't think both of those teams will be much stronger. I think one of them might just kind of stabilize where they were last year in the pecking order. So I think Ferrari can absolutely finish 4th, or maybe if their car is quite a lot better, maybe they could even finish 3rd in the Constructors. But I think, yeah, the aim realistically, considering where they've come from in 2020 and the amount of focus they're putting in on the 2022 car, of course, with massive new regulations, we've got to be realistic about this. They're not going to go from 6th up to 2nd. Yeah, I say 4th, maybe 3rd at best. I don't see them getting in the top 2, though. I just don't see it at all. But let's see what you guys think in the chat quickly before I move on to the rest of the teams. Next up will be McLaren, who, of course, revealed their car. So we'll look at that in a minute. Right, so let's have a look in the chat quick. Hello to Mike, who says hello from the Netherlands. Hello to JB. Hello to Iceman, Santiago, Francisco. Great to see you all here. JB says, it sounds as though the Ferrari engine seems to be improving, so I can see Ferrari and Alpha improve quite a bit. That has to be the one area where you'd think Ferrari are going to improve the most. I mean, if that's the thing, though, as well, they can. It's great them saying, "Oh, the car feels a lot better," but the biggest weakness of Ferrari last year was nothing that the drivers really could feel in a big way. It was just a lack of power. And really, we're not going to see. And I think it's great as well that the first Grand Prix is Bahrain, which is a proper power track, especially with these cars and how quick they are. So we will see for sure that by this time next month, the improvement, if there has been any, on that power unit. Because, you know, if you don't have good power, as we saw last year when they raced at this track, if you don't have good power compared to the others on the straights, you'll get absolutely murdered around that track. So I think we'll definitely have a good idea, even after race 1, of any improvement in power levels. Iceman says in the chat, the big question about Ferrari is how the other teams have improved. You're spot on, Chaz. Yeah, again, great saying, you know, oh, we're much better, but what if Aston Martin are much better? What if McLaren are much better? What if AlphaTauri are much better? You don't know. We'll see. Hopefully, Ferrari are better in 2021. I have to say as well, I think people, when it comes to me and my criticism of Ferrari, I think people get the wrong idea. I don't want Ferrari to be shit. I don't. I actually want them to be good and be winning like they were 2 or 3 years ago. That's what I want from this team. That's what they should be doing at the very least. The reason I criticize them is because I want to see them be Ferrari, you know, the Ferrari that contends for titles basically every season, like they were, 10, 15 years ago at the least, and even further than that, you know, into the early 2000s, late 90s and all of that. That's what we want to see from Ferrari. We don't want to see a Ferrari getting lapped, you know, race after race. We don't want to see a Ferrari barely able to finish in the top 5 of a Grand Prix. That's not what Ferrari are. They're supposed to be, you know, 1st or 2nd in a Grand Prix. That's what they are. That's what they've been in their history, and that's what we all want to see. And I still think that if you look at especially the last 2 or 3 years, I still think Ferrari are probably, they have financially the most potential to defeat Mercedes and be champions out of anyone else. With Red Bull, I think Red Bull have better personnel, but they just don't seem to, you know, they've never seemed to have been able to put up a proper title challenge. Ferrari, have a couple times in the last 4 or 5 years. I think Ferrari have always been, really through the V6 era, the most capable of, toppling the empire, but just haven't been able to do that. And I want to see them up there. And especially with the drivers they have, Leclerc and Sainz. I mean, those drivers, they deserve to be fighting for podiums and race wins in Grand Prix, not fighting for 6th and 7th, which they've been doing for what feels like their entire lives in Formula 1. Right, let's find, say one more comment, then we'll get on to the upper midfield teams. What we think will be the upper midfield teams. Francisco, engine freeze was a really bad decision. If you are behind in 2022, you are behind until 2025 without playing catch up. Now, that would have been relevant. Well, not relevant. That's the wrong word to use. That would have been correct, say, 4 or 5 years ago. Because the differences in power between the Mercedes, the Ferrari, the Renault, and the Honda were massive. If you look at the power differences now, except for the Ferrari one, and again, we're yet to see the improvement, if there is any, from Ferrari on that power unit. But if Ferrari do get back to, say, where Renault and Honda are in terms of power output levels, they're all going to be at about the same level, so it won't be a massive difference. Again, if you had a power unit development freeze in 2016, for example, it would have been ridiculous because Renault and Honda powered teams would have just been in a different formula compared to, Mercedes powered teams at any type of power track. And now it's a bit different. Of course, Renault, you look at last year, tended to be the quickest in a straight line, the Renault powered teams. I mean, look at the Italian Grand Prix as an example of that. Yeah, I think it's, if you're going to have a freeze, I think the best time to have it is about, 2022, 2023. Because again, the power unit suppliers are all at about the same level. Obviously, there are ones that are, better than others, but it's not a massive gap like it was 5 years ago. By the way, just thinking, isn't it amazing that 2016 was 5 years ago? 5 years ago. God, I feel old. Right. I'll answer this final one from JB. Where do you see Sainz compared to Leclerc? I don't know exactly. I haven't really given it proper thought, but I think he will be around the same level. I don't know for sure, because again, I haven't really given it a proper thought, but I don't know for sure if he'll beat Leclerc. But I think Sainz will do better compared to what most people think he will do in that team. Anyway, let's go on to McLaren, and here is the new McLaren 2021 F1 car, powered by Mercedes. The first time they've been powered by Mercedes since 2014. And of course, between 1995 and 2014, McLaren Mercedes was a very prominent partnership in Formula 1 and very successful. They won plenty of races, plenty of pole positions, plenty of podiums. Not as many championships as they probably should have got as a partnership. I think they had, 3 drivers' titles and 2 constructors' titles, I think it was. Or 1 constructor's title. Can't remember exactly. But it definitely wasn't as many as they should have got. They should have had at least 2 more drivers' titles and maybe a couple more constructors' titles in that time. But yeah, the great partnership of McLaren and Mercedes is back. And of course, the new driver lineup of Daniel Ricciardo and Lando Norris. I think this is the team definitely to watch in 2021 because of them now having Mercedes power. And if Mercedes power is still as great as it was, last year, which I think it will be, and McLaren continue the improvements on the aerodynamic side that they've been making in the last couple years, I don't see why they can't, compete with Red Bull. If Red Bull start the season off, not as quick as we think they'll be or they should be, I don't see why they can't be competing for second. Don't see why they can't at all. They've got two very good drivers, a car with, again, a power unit that, if it all matches up well, should be pretty good. They have a very good team behind the two drivers. Yeah, I don't see why they can't. I don't see why they can't compete for that level. Now, Zach Brown has come out and said, rightfully, that McLaren should not be aiming for the World Championship in 2021. I think maybe, though, if Mercedes do have a race or two like they did last year, where they just, get it wrong horribly and end up nowhere near winning a race or getting on the podium, like the Italian Grand Prix or the Sakir Grand Prix from last year, if those types of races happen again for Mercedes, I don't see why McLaren can't win a race in 2021. I don't see why they can't. Again, they've got two very good drivers, two drivers who are very opportunistic and can capitalize on those types of, days where the big teams falter or the biggest team falters. Yeah, I don't see why they can't win a race this season. Would be great if they could. But I'd say for this season, the aim has got to be, it's got to be third, realistically, because we don't know, again, how quick the McLaren is going to be and where Red Bull are going to be. But again, if Red Bull are like they were at the beginning of 2020, it's, struggling a bit, and McLaren start the season off really well and have a proper good car, then they should aim for second, I think. But I think, to be realistic, right now, they've got to aim for really what they had last year, which, of course, was third in the Constructors. Hopefully, they do give Red Bull a proper fight. It would be great to see, Verstappen against Ricciardo, Verstappen against Norris, obviously Perez in there with Ricciardo, Norris. It'd be great to see. But I think Red Bull versus McLaren in 2021, that's a fight that's brewing, I think. As long as, again, McLaren's car is there, is all good, and Red Bull aren't as strong as they should be, I think that's definitely, again, a fight that's brewing this season. Hopefully it does come off. Now, let's go on to Aston Martin, who, of course, this team, the great name, coming to Formula One. What a fantastic thing this is. I didn't think this was going to happen. Aston Martin Formula One team. Never thought this would actually happen. But how great is it that we're going to get an Aston Martin Formula One team? And this team, finally, that has been, Force India in the past, Racing Point, all of that, they're finally going to get the financial backing that they do deserve, because in the past, with little financial backing, they've done really well with what they've had. So imagine what they could do with a lot more money. And we'll see, I think, in 2021, what they can do with a lot more money. Even though that's not all going to kick in immediately, I think they will be, again, strong in 2021. I don't know. I don't know exactly where their aim should be. Should it be third? Should it be fourth? Should they aim even higher for second if their car's really good? We'll have to see, really, after testing in the first couple Grand Prix. But yeah, I think Aston Martin are definitely going to be in that McLaren, Alpine, Ferrari fight, and maybe fighting with Red Bull as well if Red Bull are not that strong. So yeah, I'm looking forward to seeing what Aston Martin have for us. Of course, the car reveal is coming up on March the 3rd, which is Wednesday. Now, we know the livery is going to be, the livery reveal, rather, is going to be quite spectacular. It's going to have a green theme. I don't think it'll all be green, by the way. I think it'll be mostly green. I don't think it's just going to be a green car with stickers on it. Yeah, I think, just seeing that with the drivers in the suits and all, it's going to get F1 just really, really hyped up, and I can't wait to see it. There is one thing, though, I want to show. Let's see if I can find it. Let me see if I can get it up on the screen. There you go. This was took, I don't know how long ago, maybe a month ago, month and a half ago. That is Sebastian Vettel's new hair. I'm hoping he grows hair as quick as I do, because that is, wow. That's what 5 years at Ferrari does to you. Right there. Let's hope he returns to his long hair days of Red Bull, because if he does, that'd be great for the sport. But yeah, that when I saw that massive shock, massive shock. But yeah, there you go. But now let's go on to Alpine, who have had an interesting winter. So Fernando Alonso's been in a bit of trouble. He had a cycling accident in Switzerland where I think he was hit by a car and he suffered a fractured jaw and had to have surgery. This was, what, 2 or 3 weeks ago, I think? And he will actually miss the car car reveal of Alpine F1. They've already revealed the livery. It's what, black and is it a bit of blue in there as well? So yeah, he will miss the car reveal because I think he's still recovering from his injury, and the car reveal is on the same day as the Mercedes one, which is March the 2nd, again Tuesday. But yeah, that's when I saw that news, I was having, even though I wasn't, really into F1 at the time, it did kind of remind me of the whole Robert Kubica rally incident. That same type of year as well, or time of year as well. That accident happened, in February, I think it was, or late January. So, yeah, I was hoping, it wasn't anything bad. And, I mean, it's not good, but it's not, career ending, season ending, or anything like that, which is good. And Fernando Alonso, I think, definitely will be taking to the track in 2021 in this car. Also, and I think this is very good news if you are a fan of what was Renault last year and what's going to be Alpine for 2021. This is very good news. Finally, that team has seen sense and they've got rid of Cyril Abiteboul, or Squirrel Irritable as he's been referred to in the past. Thank fuck for that. That guy, I'm sorry, he was the main reason, really, why they failed as, the Renault Works team. He was the reason, because he does not have the personality to drive any F1 team forward into success. He's never really been responsible for anything successful in Formula 1 in terms of, on the track. Never really done anything positive in that manner. I can't believe, to be honest, he lasted this long. He should have been gone from this team, a year and a half, 2 years ago. But finally, he is gone. Thank God. And I've even seen people saying that, he'll be back, in another role in Formula 1. If you're a team and you're going to hire him, you deserve all the bad things that come with it, because he is awful, awful. So if anyone out there, is listening and you have some sort of contact to a Formula 1 team, please, if they're thinking of signing him, plead with them not to, because it is suicide for a Formula 1 team trying to sign him. He is absolutely god-awful. But his replacement, not a big surprise, considering obviously Fernando Alonso is now the team leader, but he is now replaced as team principal by, as you can see there on the bottom ticker, Davide Brivio, I think it is. I'll probably would have mispronounced that. I think I have mispronounced that, but I'm sure, give it a couple months and I'll get it right. Once people start pronouncing it, I'll learn that way. But if you're a MotoGP fan, you should recognize that name. He was the boss of, I think, Suzuki. Don't know how long ago he was the boss of that team. So he does have good motor racing or motorsport, whatever you want to say, experience. I think definitely better experience and probably success than Cyril ever had. So yeah, a good move. Will it be as good a move as what McLaren, did with bringing Andreas Seidel in from the world of endurance racing? Hopefully, but we'll have to see how it pans out. But yeah, I think bar the Alonso accident, I think that this team has made some good moves over the winter, getting rid of Cyril and getting a new and better, I think, team boss into that team. Don't really know where they'll be, though, in 2021. I think they'll have races this season coming where they'll be good, and they'll be, like they were last season at times where they're fighting for podiums. I think there will be a couple races in there like that, but then there'll be races where they're, barely getting into the top 10. I think they'll be about the same as they were last year. They'll have their highs, they'll have their lows, but they won't really, be contending for third or fourth, I think. They'll be around 5th place, I think, in the Constructors. I think that's all we can really say about this team, I'm afraid. Let's move on to AlphaTauri, and this is the new 2021 AlphaTauri car, and it does look good. It looks a lot better than, I think, last year's car, to be honest, with this livery. I don't think it's not a massively different livery, but it's a bit different, I think. A bit more blue, I believe, on the front wing or the front of the car. But yeah, good-looking car. And AlphaTauri, the reason I'm going to spend a bit of time on them, and also Alfa Romeo, is because these two teams have revealed their cars already, but what they said when they revealed their cars I thought was so interesting. So AlphaTauri came out and said that their aim was to be fighting at the front of the midfield for 2021. Now, end of last year, they were pretty quick, and there were actually races where they were up in, 5th or 6th place in qualifying or the Grand Prix. But when I saw that, I was very surprised, because even though, again, they've had a few races here and there where they've been very good, they've never really been a consistent front of the midfield runner ever in Formula One. When they were Toro Rosso and, of course, Minardi in that. So I'm very surprised that they think they can fight at that, part of the grid. I hope they can, because I really do like AlphaTauri. I think they've always been a very good midfield team. Again, considering big money that Renault have had in the past and McLaren compared to what they've had. I've always thought they've done well for what they've had, especially in the last couple years. But yeah, AlphaTauri being at the front of the midfield, we could, I could be wrong. I could very well be wrong. They might finish 4th or 5th. But I just don't see it. Unless what AlphaTauri need with this car is they need a part of their car which just makes them, which, separates them from what they have been in the last couple of years. Which is, in the last couple of years they've been good, but they've had a car that's, overall consistent and doesn't really aerodynamically have any real weaknesses, but it doesn't have a standout area. It hasn't got, like, amazing rear downforce or an amazing front end or, amazing tyre wear, stuff like that. That's what AlphaTauri need in 2021 if they're going to be at the front of the midfield. They need to have a part of the car that is just outstanding and puts them, right up there with McLaren, Ferrari, Aston Martin. But until we see the cars, I can't really, on the car's performance in the first couple Grand Prix, I can't really say where they'll be. The only thing I can think is they're going to be probably, I think, in the top 6 or 7, probably 7th at worst, like they were last season. But I don't see 4th or 5th. Again, I'd have to be proven wrong, and they'd have to show me something in testing or in the first couple Grand Prix that makes me change my mind on that. But yeah, for AlphaTauri, I'm expecting another good season, but thought that aim from them was a bit not unrealistic, but very optimistic, put it that way. Unrealistic, though, has to go to Alfa Romeo. This is their new car, by the way. This is Robert Kubica driving it around... what track is it? Is it Portimao? I can't remember what track it was. Or someone will correct me. I know the track the AlphaTauri was going around was Imola, which will be good for them, AlphaTauri doing a bit of a test around there, because the second Grand Prix is at Imola. So they'll have some sort of data for the car. Not much, but something more than what the other teams have. But yeah, Alfa Romeo also came out and said that they need to be fighting to get back to the front of the midfield. Now, I like Alfa Romeo. I think they're a decent team. I think they've got a good driver lineup and all of that. But I don't know why they're saying this. Firstly, they've never been at the front of the midfield, so I don't know why they're saying they need to get back to it, because they've never been there. But again, it's not realistic. Last year, they were 8th. And, just look at the teams they've got to overtake. Ferrari, Alpine, who were previously Renault, Aston Martin, McLaren. Let's be honest. I mean, they've got good drivers. I think they've got a decent team overall. But let's be honest, this team's not going to be, fighting for 7th or 8th in a Grand Prix consistently. It's more likely going to be 9th or 10th or, half of the season. And the other half of the season, they'll probably be finishing outside the points. Could be proven wrong. I'd be happy to be proven wrong when it comes to that. But, I just don't understand why they're aiming so high. I think Alfa Romeo will have a better season in 2021. But ultimately, I don't think they'll finish any higher than 8th place, because I think the field ahead of them is just too strong. So, yeah, I don't really see how they could possibly, fight for even 6th and 5th, unless they really surprise me with a proper good car. I just don't see it. I really don't see it. So, there you go. But let me just quickly show some different pictures of the Alfa Romeo. Here's a side-ish on view. Front wing definitely looks a bit different. It looks a bit narrower at the front end. It looks a bit more like a McLaren front end from last year. That's this Alfa Romeo. And then there's another one there. Livery as well does look nice. Always has, the Alfa Romeo. So there you go. But yeah, we'll move on to the last couple teams. Haas F1. Now, they've had a very interesting winter. So, let's first just get out the way that their car reveal is on March the 4th, which is Thursday. Not that anyone's going to massively care, because this team has become basically irrelevant in the last year or so. But what has not become irrelevant, especially in the news, is this man on screen, Nikita Mazepin. What a naughty boy he is. So, I'm sure you guys have seen that video, or you've heard of the video where he groped a woman's tits. I'm just going to say it like that because, that's what happened. He didn't grope it. It wasn't a serious assault, but it wasn't, definitely wasn't something you should be putting out into the social media airwaves. That's for sure. Now, if you look at the actual video, I mean, I think he was wrong, by the way. I'm not going to say, oh, yeah, he was absolutely fine, crack on. He was wrong for what he did. And I think even the woman who was, groped, she came out, I think, a couple weeks later and kind of, said that she didn't approve of what he did. And, I think he was definitely wrong for what he did. And, my experience, I've not had much experience of going on nights out and things like that, but even if I was drunk, I would never, think to do that to another person. I don't know what you guys think, but when I'm drunk, I never think to, grab people like that. It's just so weird to me. Unless you're really hammered, really, to the point of blackout drunk. I don't really see how you could just, start grabbing people like that. It's just so weird to me. But yeah, again, if you look at the actual video, it wasn't as bad as people made out. It was still bad. He's an absolute fucking idiot for posting on social media. Why he would post that and think people were going to approve of that behavior. I think that's probably the stupidest part of it all, was him posting it. Never mind doing it. I mean, if you're going to do it, at least, don't make the world know graphically that you did it. But yeah, the video, again, wasn't as bad as people made out. I mean, you would have thought he literally ran up to her and just, straight up, sexually assaulted her. It wasn't that bad, but it was, with the world we live in today, and it's not a great world we live in today, let's be honest. Definitely isn't a great one, not even a good one at that. You're not going to get away with that. Again, putting out on social media, what the fuck do you think's going to happen in the world we live in? What the fuck do you think's going to happen? And then, of course, everyone flows in with their criticism, saying he's abhorrent. That's what Haas F1 said. The FIA came in and said, yeah, he's a bad person, all of that. And then, eventually Haas F1 dealt with it internally. They didn't really do anything. I'm sure they maybe internally fined him, but they didn't really do anything. He didn't lose his seat. He was never going to lose his seat because money. There you go. And yeah, he will be racing in 2021 for Haas F1. And that's all there is to it. And I know people are disappointed, and were very disappointed at the time, that, not more was done when it came to what he did. But I think there's people out there, when it comes to the whole Liberty Media pushing this whole equality and diversity thing, which is great. Of course, we all agree with it. There's not one person who disagrees with it. It's great them pushing this equality and diversity thing that they have been doing in the last year or so. But if you're gullible enough to sit there and think they actually care, then you really need to do some research, and you really need to, just have a think about it. Because I can tell you now, Liberty Media do not give a fuck about equality or diversity. They don't care about, that woman being assaulted. They couldn't give a fuck. The only way they would give a fuck is if, getting rid of Nikita Mazepin was going to make them more money. It wasn't, so they didn't want to do anything about it. They don't care. They will only, Liberty Media, and Bernie was the same. Liberty Media will only do things that, benefit them financially. They do not care about racism, sexism, homophobia, transphobia, every type of phobia and ism out there. They do not give a fuck. All they care about is making money. Why do you think we're racing in Saudi Arabia in 2021? Need I say any more? I mean, I'm sure, with that behavior, Nikita will go down. I mean, he'll be a hero in Saudi Arabia, probably. So, why do people, and there are people out there who actually are like, why aren't Liberty, taking a stronger stance against this? Or why aren't Liberty, actually using, this whole equality and, we race is one thing? And because they don't give a fuck. The only reason they have this we race is one thing, it's a marketing ploy. That's all it is. It's got nothing to do with eliminating racism and sexism and, again, homophobia, transphobia, all of that. It's got nothing to do with that. It's a marketing ploy. Because that's all the big companies have been doing in the last year or so when it comes to, again, big issues like racism. That's all they've been doing. They've been just coming up with slogans to make money. They don't care about, actually doing anything about the problem. If they actually cared, then they wouldn't be coming up with slogans, because slogans don't do shit. Or, gestures. They don't do shit. And again, Liberty Media, all they care about is making money. And as long as, if long as opportunities present themselves where they can make more money, whether it's morally wrong or morally right, it doesn't matter. If the opportunity is there to make more money will be made. If they have to race literally in hell and have Satan wave the checkered flag for an extra $50 million, they fucking will. Guarantee you that. Anyway, let's get on to the final team. Williams. We're not going to spend much on them because, you know, it's Williams. Car reveal is on March the 5th, which is... what day is that? Friday. Yeah, Friday. As long as Williams can close the gap to the rest, then yeah. I think that's really got to be the aim. I mean, I don't see them finishing any higher than 9th in the Constructors. I think they can beat Haas in 2021 if Haas's drivers, Mazepin and Mick Schumacher, have a bit of a slow start to life in Formula 1, which I think they will, and the Haas car is not that good. Then I think they will have a chance to beat them in the Constructors, but they're not going to finish higher than that, let's be honest. Russell, let's hope he does finally get a points finish in the Williams. I know he's had a points finish in the Mercedes, but it would be a lot better if he got one in the Williams because of, you know, obviously how bad the car is. So yeah, well, let's hope he has a good season in 2021. But yeah. Anyway, let's get back to some other pictures here, or some pictures from earlier. I'll read out some more comments from the chat. Right. Let's read the chat to see what you guys have to say. Hello to Alejandro Barbosa. Hope I've said that right. Let's read some comments here from you guys. And what I'm going to do, guys, I'm going to read, again, find a few comments and then probably end the stream. I was only planning to do about an hour, and I've got to about, 57 minutes. So I'm only going to be live probably maximum for another 10 minutes. I will, though, in a minute, let you guys know kind of the schedule coming up on the channel. There will be definitely an increase in content during March. I'm planning to upload a video next weekend, and hopefully during the week as well. So there should be 2 videos coming out next week, and then obviously the week after is pre-season testing. So yeah. FP1 says McLaren can get 3rd. It will depend on how much not being to update much aero will hurt them. Is FP1, is that an F1 YouTuber? I think I've heard that name before. I can't remember exactly. I'll be honest, if there's any F1 content creators out there, I haven't really paid attention to anyone in a big way in the last year or so, because I've had a pretty up and down year. I think we can say that. Yeah, I've not paid massive attention, but I have seen, you know, some stuff here and there. I think... And I don't know if that's an F1 YouTuber. I think there might be another one who goes by that name. If it is you, then yeah, great to see you here. Cyril, at least he's getting a tattoo. Indeed. Mr. Random Guy says, I like the AlphaTauri's new nose. Good that they replaced the thumb nose. Alfa Romeo are in Barcelona, says Francisco. Okay. I don't know why. I think that first picture, it looked like that hairpin at Portimao. Which, by the way, we are racing at in 2021, if you don't know. So the first race is in Bahrain in a month from now, exactly a month. Then 2 weeks later, we're racing at Imola, and then it's 3 weeks until Portimao, and then a week after that is Spain, and then 2 weeks after it's Monaco, and then vice versa for the rest of the season. And also, Australia has been moved from middle of March until, is it the middle of November? So yeah, there you go. Francisco, talking about the Mazepin thing, says the reaction on this incident was overblown. Too much, in my opinion. As far as deserving a seat, they're right, though. Yeah, honestly, I would have liked to have seen Kevin Magnussen continue because I don't think he had a bad season last season. I think it was the car. It was an awful car last season. Don't think anyone can deny that. I think there were some good performances in there from Magnussen last year. Hungary was one. The Russian Grand Prix was one as well, where I think he was in the points for quite a while and then just dropped out because, the car is too slow. And there was other good ones as well where I thought he did pretty well considering, again, how bad the car is. I would have personally, again, kept with K-Mag, and I would have gone, him and Mick Schumacher. At least Mick would then, learn from someone experienced, and I know Magnussen's not the most safest of drivers, but again, Magnussen's been in Formula One, 6 or 7 years. He knows his way around. Would have been great for Mick to have someone like that. And again, Kevin Magnussen would have been a good comparison for Mick. Because, Magnussen, going up against, what do you call it? Going up against Romain Grosjean, who, at times wasn't the slowest driver. And Magnussen, being as quick as he was a couple years ago, if Mick, came in there and was quicker than Magnussen consistently over the season, I think that would show that Mick, was a really good driver. But no, he's going to have Mazepin as his teammate. So we're not really going to know massively how good Mick Schumacher really is until I think probably last couple, what am I on about? Till next season, most likely, is what I'm trying to say. JB says, I do want people to give Mazepin a second chance. I mean, to be honest, I didn't really care what Haas did, if they got rid of him or not, because I'm not a Mazepin fan. I don't really, if Mazepin was on the grid, then okay, but if he wasn't, then okay. That type of situation with Mazepin with me. I don't really care about Mazepin. He's going to be a back marker probably for the first year of his career. I hope he's, a bit better than that, but, I don't really see Nikita Mazepin doing anything big in Formula One. He's been given a second chance, which, is great for him, but personally, I don't really, don't really care. Iceman, cough, cough, Matt Gallagher. I can't remember seeing what his reaction was. I saw certain people's, but I can't remember seeing his. But the overall reaction was, this guy needs to be got rid of, which... Did people really think he was going to get rid of? I mean, come on. Why do you think Haas got him? Money. I mean, if he wasn't giving them so much money, of course they would have got rid of him. They would have threw him out of a plane window if he wasn't paying them money. But because he's paying the money, and so much money, he's going to get, his actual chance. That's why. Formula One, let's be honest, Formula One is probably the most elitist sport in history and in the world still. If you don't have money, unless your talent is incredible when it comes to engineering, designing, driving, running a team, whatever. Unless your talent is incredible, if you don't have money, you won't be in Formula One, because Formula One is just money, 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 money. What it is. Look what Formula One, started as. It was rich boys with, rich cars playing around. That's basically what it was. And yes, there were lives that were taken, sadly, because safety wasn't a thing back then, but this sport's always been for the rich. Always has been. You can't go racing in Formula One with, not that much money, which I know Liberty is trying to kind of shift it more in that direction to make it more viable for new teams and, say people with less money out there to be within the sport. But Formula One fundamentally is for a rich person. That's what it is for. And as long as you have money, I mean, it doesn't matter what you do outside of Formula One. As long as you have money, it doesn't matter. You will be a prominent figure in Formula One. JB says, the thing that pissed me off about Mazepin was on one of Russell's streams, he commented something about George coming out, basically saying Russell is gay, which isn't something to be said publicly. And then JB says, I don't think Russell is gay, and obviously there wouldn't be anything wrong if he was, but that's not something Mazepin should comment on one of Russell's live Instagram posts. I'd have to see the context. I mean, I'm guessing he was joking. I mean, he can't be that much of a fucking idiot. They find other comments here quick. John saying, looking forward to the Zandvoort Grand Prix. I am as well. That Grand Prix, if anyone's wondering, will be the first weekend of September. It's in between the Spa Grand Prix in Belgium and the Italian Grand Prix at Monza. Yeah, can't wait for that Grand Prix. Francisco, do you think WEC can rival F1 in terms of popularity with all the manufacturers? Ferrari, Audi, Porsche, Peugeot, Toyota, Honda, maybe Ford and others fitting to the top class? I know it sounds kind of bad, but I don't really want to answer that because I don't know enough about that type of thing, especially with WEC, so I can't really answer that. Because again, I don't follow WEC massively. I mean, I think, manufacturers will always have a big interest in WEC because it's, I think, a bit more viable for them. But if those manufacturers are ever going to want to, if they can get into Formula One, they will. But I think, the reason, your Audis and your Porsches, the reason they won't, because costs too much money at the minute to enter Formula One. That's why they've come up with all the cost cap and all that. JB says, I just wish the constant hate for Mazepin would calm down a bit. I mean, yeah. I mean, you shouldn't be still railing on the guy. I mean, yeah, we get it. He did wrong. Let's move on. I don't really, care about it anymore. He made a mistake. Just move on. And there you go. There's all the comments so far. I'll read out a couple more and then we'll get to the end of the stream here. Marco, how will Perez do if he performs poorly? I fully blame the car. It depends what you mean by poorly. If you mean, he just pace-wise is way off where Max Verstappen is, then yeah. But if he's making mistakes and crashing and, that's got to come down, of course, to Sergio Perez. But yeah, if he's way off Max Verstappen pace-wise, then I think you've got to say that's full confirmation that Red Bull only care about one driver. I think we can already say that anyway. They only care about Max Verstappen. They do not care about the number 2 driver. It doesn't really matter who it is. Very similar to when Michael Schumacher was at Benetton in 94 and 95, where, again, Michael's teammate, didn't matter who it was Michael that was the focus. I think in 94, Michael had, was it 3 teammates he had in 94 when he won the championship? He had JJ Leto, and then he had Jos Verstappen, and then he had Johnny Herbert at the end of the season, and then Johnny Herbert managed to get a full year out in 95, which was a miracle, because I think he was close to being replaced a couple times in 95. But yeah, it's similar to that, where the team is just putting focus on one person rather than the other driver. Anyway, guys, that is the end for this stream today. Thank you guys for coming along, liking the stream and commenting on the chat and all of that as well. Don't forget to share this out everywhere you can: Twitter, Facebook, Instagram, all that, all those social media places. Now, the plan coming up on the channel. So there should be a video coming out next week before the weekend, and then I am planning on having a video come out on the weekend, which should be a podcast episode with Nib on Saturday. And then the week after, can't really say in terms of the week the working week, Monday to Friday. I can't really say whether there'll be content coming out then because I don't know for sure yet. But when it comes to pre-season testing, I can announce that if Sky F1 are doing testing live like they did last year, then I will be doing testing watch-alongs. But they won't be the same as last year. So I won't be doing, 4-hour streams. It'll probably be 2 hours on, each day. So there's only 3 days of testing. So it'll be, 2 hours. Say the last 2 hours on Friday, the last 2 hours on Saturday, and the last 2 hours on Sunday. Again, that's only if, Sky F1 are doing live coverage. So, of course, I can watch it and, talk to you guys at the same time and all of that. That is the plan for testing. And then after that, we'll see. And then, obviously, we have the first race in Bahrain. But, yeah, that's the plan, I'll say, for the next couple of weeks. But, yeah, don't forget, guys, to subscribe to the channel if you are new for more content like this. Content coming up in the next month or so to do with 2021 and Formula 1, of course. So again, subscribe to the bottom right of the screen or go to my channel page and do it there. Hit the like button if you did like this video. Comment down below what you thought of what I talked about. Again, share this video everywhere you can. Trying to think what else. I haven't done this in so long. I'm trying to think what other things I need to plug. As well, if you want to contact me, want to talk about anything in general, on Discord, you can join my Discord server, link below in the description. You can join that and then, message me on there. Or if you want to message me over email, or if you've got, some sort of business reason you want to email me, my email address is down below in the description. It is chazerhdf1@gmail.com. Also, I'll make sure once I finish this stream to put a link to my last video that came out, I think, was it 3 weeks ago? It was called The Unstoppable Mercedes Empire. That video came out about 3 weeks ago. Some of you enjoyed it a lot. If you have not seen it yet, make sure to go and check it out. I think you guys will like it. But yeah, until the next stream, which again, if testing is live on Sky F1, it should be in about a fortnight from now for 3 days. And until the next video, which again should be sometime next week, guys, it's been me, ChazerHD. Goodbye.